With the season ahead, what exactly is the Spurs ceiling?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Friday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're doing the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back as I get my mic position better here. As always, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever we get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know what to do. Go subscribe right now. Continue being that every day, or we definitely appreciate it. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. What's on the agenda today? We're going to look at the Spurs ceiling. This is the team they're going to go to war with starting from jump at the regular season. Is this team raring to go as far as being very successful, maybe a little under successful? Where do we gauge this? What is the Spurs ceiling? How far can they go? We're going to talk about that. And then it's been a while, but we're going to get into some Locked On Spurs fan comments. So we'll pick a few of them to react to in just a few seconds. Let's go to bring in our guest, everybody. He is back. Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. No, that's not an OKC Thunder logo. That's the new Sweep the League logo there. Rudy joined us via audio today. Rudy, how you doing?
Good, Jeff. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's not a Thunder logo. It's the new Sweep the League logo.
Yeah, he'll talk about Sweep the League in just a few minutes. Rudy, thank you for helping us wrap up the week right here on Locked On Spurs. Regular season is still a few weeks away. Still got to get through training camp preseason, but the roster is set. This is the team they're going to go to war with. They have new pieces from Olynyk to Cornette to Dylan Harper. They brought back a lot of familiar faces. So that continuity that was stressed by Mitch Johnson in media day is there. Not too much of an overhaul, but nevertheless, some well-needed pieces from bigs to another scoring guard or just an all-around guard with Harper. The list goes on and on. But the question remains, Rudy, what is this Spurs roster ceiling? This team looks like on paper that they're going to be very good defensively and possibly just good offensively. Where do you gauge their ceiling?
So ceiling-wise, I mean, let's just knock it out of the park and just leave it there, this foul ball, and say they're not title contenders. I mean, let's just get that out of the way right now. Barring any major injuries in the Western Conference, they're not title contenders just yet. Ceiling-wise, I've been saying pretty much you're looking at playoff as the ceiling-wise, which I think they can squeeze into the playoffs, but they're going to need some help. But that's probably right where I've got them. And when I say seeding, I'm probably thinking around the 5th or 6th seed heading into the playoffs as the ceiling right now. I don't necessarily have them as a top 2 team, maybe even a top 3. But for right now, ceiling-wise is 5th or 6th. But where I legitimately have them and have had them before, a lot of the season or preseason's getting going and stuff is right around that play-in mark.
Wow. Wait, so it's the highest seed you got them is at 5 or 6, right?
I've got them at the 5th or 6th. Now, the potential of them getting to 4, I really see that. But, I mean, you can easily look at the top 2 teams in the West that are going to be 1 and 2 pretty much the entire season. Oklahoma City and Denver. Denver just reloaded in the offseason.
Oh, did they? Yep.
Yeah, so those 2 teams are going to be your top 2 teams. Then you've got the likes of Minnesota. If the Clippers can get it together, they made some significant moves in the offseason to where they can be a top 3 team overall. So there's a lot of competition in the West right now. It's never a disrespect to the Spurs. They loaded in the offseason. They made all the adjustments, all the right moves to put themselves into contention for a playoff spot in the West.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're looking at the West landscape right now. You're right. Denver, OKC, 1 and 2 right there. That's over. Then you have a bunch of wild cards. One of them you mentioned are the Clippers. Can they get it together? Will the Kawhi Leonard, Ballmer distraction be a distraction? But interestingly enough, though, look, you don't like to see injuries happen, but Rockets losing Brooks for the season, bringing in Kevin Durant, which is huge, but they still don't have that floor leader as far as with the ball, running it up at championship pedigree that Brooks had. I'm
Was
sorry,
Van
not Brooks. I'm
Fleet.
sorry, Van Vliet. Yes, you're right. Sorry,
Yeah,
my
Van
mistake.
Fleet.
Yeah. Fred Van Vliet. Right. So you lose Fred Van Vliet for the season. That's huge. And again, unfortunate, but the Spurs can expose that. They can really possibly challenge Houston in the division. So then you mentioned Minnesota. I got them up right there. Looks like Anthony Edwards is going to be on a mission this year. So you have at minimum OKC, Denver, Minnesota, Houston by a thread, hanging on to maybe a top 3 or 4. So yeah, so Houston seems to be on shaky ground right now, again, hanging on by a thread. So there you go. You got OKC, Denver, Minnesota, Clippers, Houston. Again, just they're obviously their learning curve / path is a lot further ahead than San Antonio. So that's 5 teams right there. So that leaves 1 seed, at least for a solid lock-in for a playoff spot, the number 6.
I mean, you can throw the
Go ahead.
Lakers. I'll say you can throw the Lakers in there, but I've got a really big feeling that we're not going to see LeBron finish the Lakers season. We're going to probably see him being moved, but also the key factor is if he's not moved, I feel the Lakers are going to trade Austin Reeves. There's going to be a lot of animosity, a lot of turmoil in LA land. So I think they're going to be kind of that big question mark. Another team that you got to kind of watch for is the Golden State Warriors. Yes, they're older in age, but the addition of Al Horford kind of helps them out because they were always looking for that guy to be, a stretch big that they've been wanting to play ball with. Plus, Jimmy Butler, you never know what you're getting there. Those are the 2 teams I look at, but don't put a whole lot into Houston just yet with KD. The loss of Fred Van Fleet is not just, huge. It's astronomical unless they can find a point guard for that team. You're putting it in the hands of Reed Shepherd. You're putting it in the hands of Aaron Holiday. I don't trust those guys as much as I do Fred Van Fleet, who is a massive player for Houston. So the Spurs, like I said, with good fortune, and I don't wish bad luck on any team as far as injury-wise, but with good fortune, they could climb as long as they stay healthy themselves.
Here's my wild card that can really throw a wrench in all this. Dallas Mavericks. Say what you will about the Luka deal, but on paper, Rudy, this team potentially can be good. Cooper Flag, obviously, Anthony Davis. It's unknown how soon Kyrie Irving will come back. Maybe towards the end of the season. We'll see if they can steady the ship there. You got Gafford.
They did get D'Angelo Russell, so that spells the Kyrie thing there.
So all in all, Dallas, although many people are still, shunning Nico and for what he did, but on paper, Dallas could be kind of the dark horse in all this. What do you think?
I believe so. So when it comes to the division, the San Antonio Spurs division with the Dallas Mavericks, I really do have the Mavericks at number 1 right now. I know the loss of Kyrie Irving is huge for them, but they did bring in D'Angelo Russell, who can kind of spell that little bit of, while Kyrie's out, he can spell that point guard position, help him out right there. Dallas, again, the addition of Cooper Flag, number 1 pick. You got Anthony Davis, who's going to pretty much be that guy. Don't forget, they also have Klay Thompson as well. So Dallas is still a team to contend. I have them number 1 going into the season for that division. It could potentially change. We've seen Anthony Davis go down with injury, Jeff. So it's always wondering how far he's going to make it into the season. A lot can change for Dallas when it comes to that. If it does, I have probably the Spurs as being that top team in that division. From top to bottom, their players, they make sense. It's a loaded roster. It's an in-depth roster. It has a lot of great veterans. But again, something that I did see you post on your X account was the assistant coaching staff is getting praised. And that was something you and I were praising all off season. Spurs fans, this is one of the best coaching staffs in the league. You're seeing it right now in training camp. You're going to see it throughout the season.
He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Make sure to follow my next at Sweep the League. When we get back, we're going to continue our chat about what is the Spurs ceiling. Look at the field. Rudy gave you what he believes will be the Spurs ceiling, but what will my ceiling be? We're going to talk about that coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. Once again, joined by Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Hey, but first I want to talk about Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or a phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch can help you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You just link all your accounts, and in minutes, you see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of spending, finally feel like you're in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify exactly how much you are not saving. Monarch can help you with that. What about maximizing investments, increasing your savings rate? What about easily reviewing your finances? Again, Monarch can help you. Keeping a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. During the break, he told me that he's actually going to finish atop of the West because he's just a one-man team. He could take out the Thunder by himself, the Nuggets by himself, Minnesota by himself. Rudy, I knew you were multi-talented. I didn't think you were this level multi-talented.
Well, I am like the Dos Equis man, the most interesting man in the world. So if I can think it, I can do it.
There you go. He's with Sweep the League. Make sure to follow him on next again at Sweep the League. We're talking about what is the Spurs ceiling. We got to hear where Rudy places the Spurs, or at least his projection of their ceiling. He has them, if I got this correct, Rudy, around 4 or 5, right?
Fifth or sixth is what I had for the
56,
ceiling,
okay.
but again, based off injuries, probably
Yeah.
4. I think it's going to get 4.
For me, I'm going to be a little more conservative. I got him around 6 or 7. I'm looking at, again, the field of the Western Conference is just a beast. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of sleeper teams. We mentioned a couple of them, Dallas, Golden State. Those are a couple of 2 teams right there. As much as you want to say about the Van Vliet injury to Houston, I know Rudy's really big on that, like how it just hits him hard. I think Houston will be fine. So we'd have coaching Ime Udoka. I just don't see him letting a team just get deflated like that after losing Van Vliet. And you mentioned a couple of names, Reed Shepherd. You can't forget Thompson. I can see them giving him the ball. The point is, I think they'll be okay without Van Vliet. Now, championship contenders, maybe not, but they're still going to be in the mix. Spurs 6 or 7. For them to go from where they ended last year to leapfrog into where you have them, Rudy, I think that's a massive jump. Not to say cannot not do that. It's just the field. The field is just going to be interesting, and it's just going to be a gauntlet. You mentioned some of the usual suspects, Clippers, Lakers, hovering around there. We didn't even mention Memphis. I see Memphis fixing it up.
There's a good reason why we did it. They're not going to be very good at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even with John Moran and Triple J.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a nice duo with John Moran and Triple J, but we don't even have a clear mind about how John Moran's going to play this season.
Yeah.
Also, remember, they're probably their best player, in my opinion, who makes the biggest difference is playing in Orlando this year in Desmond Bane. So, yeah, they had a huge loss with Desmond Bane there. I don't think they'll be those contenders for. They might be a play-in spot if best at anything.
Yeah. You're not worried about Sacramento, even with them?
No. Sacramento's going to be, again, a team that's going to vie for that play-in spot, but I'm not worried about them being better than the Spurs.
Yeah, so for me, again, I see their ceiling at 6 or 7. Again, if they get 7, obviously that means they made it to the play-in and they got the seed. And I'm fine with that. If they just don't meet expectations, again, not because of them not trying, but just because, again, the field in the West, if they can just get out of the play-in and into a playoff spot, I'll be okay with that. Would you be okay if that path led even to an 8th seed? As long as they're in the postseason, is that still good enough for you, Rudy?
Well, I mean, again, the question was the ceiling. So how high can the Spurs go with this roster? And I've got them, like I said, at that, 5th or 6th spot. I mean, but ideally, if I'm playing it, this is exactly how I feel the Spurs season is going to go. if everything stays the course, I see them in that 7th, 8th, maybe 9th spot at the worst. I see them in the
Mhm.
play-in regardless. So that's pretty much what I see happening for the Spurs. But again, if we're talking ceiling, fifth or sixth, potentially fourth, because they could jump Dallas in that division.
Mhm.
So right now, I mean, if I'm looking straight forward, keeping the path, it's going to be around that 7th, 8th spot. They're going to be in the play-in. But if I'm looking at the ceiling wise, I feel they're a playoff team, and that's probably where their ceiling is at right now.
Yeah, again. So recap: my ceiling is at 6 seed, which I think still is tremendous for them to get
Yes.
a locked in playoff spot in a crowded West. Rudy has them a little higher than that. I think 5. You got them topped out at 5.
At the very highest, my prediction would be
Yeah,
at the 5th seed. Yeah.
50, which is still great. So we're kind of close there, but a lot of things are going to have to come together. The first thing is they're not starting off on the right foot, and with the hamstring injury to De'Aaron Fox, he'll likely not miss much time. But again, that delayed chemistry between him and Wemby, still got to wait it out. How long
Mm.
he's going to be out? How conservative the Spurs going to be bringing him back? So that could be a little stumbling block there too. Sohan, his calf injury, he says he's good, but will it resurface? Will it re-aggravate? Do not know. Of course, we still obviously don't know the biggest wild card, and that is Dylan Harper. He's not playing in training camp. He's participating, but just not full on contact. And as of this recording, he may or may not play the preseason. So, and already again, you're starting the season without your starting point guard, Fox. So again,
Mhm.
another thing. But nevertheless, the Spurs definitely have to take advantage of that opening month of the regular season because they're playing some teams that on paper, Rudy, they should beat. And
Yeah.
they need to take advantage of those games, and it starts early for them. What do you think?
Yeah, I think one of the latest lockdowns that I did with you, we discussed the first 20 games of the season. And I felt like, man, these first 20 games, it's a perfect spot for them to come out and get out of the gates really, really fast. I think if I can remember, I had them maybe out of possibly 11 wins at the least. So
Right.
they can come out really fast. And injury wise, I'm glad it's happening at the beginning of the season. That way they can go through preseason, they can get all the treatment they need and be ready for month into the season, stuff like that. But I really think the start of the season is going to be really key for them. If they get off to a very fast start, I don't see them very much slowing down. I think the cohesiveness would be good for both of them or for all the
Mhm.
team. But let me throw this wrench in there for you.
Go
I'm
ahead.
I'm saying it now is that the reason why I've kind of got them a little higher is because I'm feeling that there's going to be another move to be made before the trade deadline comes and goes. So
Interesting.
there's two names that are popping up, and for Spurs fans, keep your eye on them. One of them's the obvious suspect, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's not happy in Milwaukee. His name's going to be thrown out everywhere. He's going to be tied to the Spurs. Spurs have a whole lot they can offer, but the guy who I mentioned earlier, keep an eye on the Austin Reeves situation in LA. That's a very interesting situation because if the Spurs are able to make a move to get a player like Austin Reeves, you have just basically solidified your team's position for years, similar to what OKC is doing. So
Mhm.
those two names are ones to watch throughout the season. Go see how it plays out for them and their current teams right now. But that's why I've kind of got them a little higher because I love this roster, but I don't think it's done for the season. That's why I've got a little more, I guess, faith in them to finish higher because I think there's still one more big move they're going to make.
Yeah, and Austin Reeves has been linked to San Antonio for how long now? I mean, seriously, it's like every offseason, right? Like he's
Probably a
linked to the
year, a
Spurs.
good year, like
Yeah.
really, really linked to them a good year, but I think this time it has a lot more legs to it.
Well, we definitely shall see it. Well, what do you think the Spurs ceiling will be this upcoming season? I got them topping off at 6. Rudy has them at 5. What do you think? Do you think they're a top 4 team, the number 1 team, or maybe missing the playoffs, play in altogether? Let us know on X. You let Rudy know on X again at Sweep the League. Make sure to follow him as well, and then follow me on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Hey, it's your turn. When we get back, we're going to look at some Locked On Spurs fan comments right here with Rudy Campos. Hey, but first I want to talk about FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. The Cowboy season has started. The Texans season has started. Join FanDuel right now. Hey, and you have so many ways to play, build parlays. Maybe you try some different player props, follow live games during games. Seriously, you can do it all on the FanDuel app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. What are you waiting for? Get up, get on it right now. Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Rudy Campos. Join us by audio today. Make sure to follow him on X at Sweep the League. He'll talk to you about Sweep the League and why you should go subscribe right now. But it's your turn. Locked On Spurs fan comments. Rudy, let's dive into this, and let's get the first one right off the bat here. This is from Jason Hefner, 6291. He says, quote, "We do have a consistent 3-and-D guy. His name is Harrison Barnes, the 7th best three-point shooter in the NBA last season. Why does everyone say we don't have any outside shooters? Barnes, Champagnie, Vassell should get plenty of shots from deep, especially Barnes." Thank you for that comment, Jason. What do you think about that? That's been kind of the big knock on San Antonio's roster right now is, they don't have snipers. They don't have snipers. But Jason says they actually do. Are we overlooking some of the guys on the roster?
Yeah. I mean, first off, when he says 3-D, you got to take the last word out. He's just a 3-point shooter. He doesn't play any type of defense, but no knock to him. Appreciate the comment on there. You've got a lot of great shooters. Harrison Barnes, especially on the corners, who can really knock down that 3 ball. Julian Champagnie, you see him going on a roll for this team, so he can definitely knock it down. Let's not forget De'Aaron Fox has improved his 3-point shooting as well. So, you don't have the Steph Currys, you don't have a lot of these guys on the team that are going to knock down threes consistently and often, but you have what's called as key shooters. And these guys can make key shots in moments that you need them to make a shot. I have all the faith in the world in guys like Harrison Barnes. You've also got all the faith in the world like Julian Champagnie, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle working on his game in the offseason as well. He's not knocking him down consistently, but it will improve. And let's not forget Keldon Johnson. He can get on a really good hot streak as well. So, yeah, the Spurs have plenty of shooters all around.
Yeah. They have good shooters. It's just, again, are they reliable? And I know just to say, well, I just gave you some stats right there. But for me, though, we're going to dig a little deeper in this topic, and I'm going to put this picture right here, is at the primary position, that is at the guard spot. Steph Castle definitely got better towards the end of the season, but again, still subpar. We mentioned other names like De'Aaron Fox. Once he gets back, he's known for scoring, yes, but he's not really known for being a sniper. He can hit the occasional 3, which is good, but again, not that sniper. Then, of course, the other big unknown is Dylan Harper. We just don't know how his shot's going to adjust to the league, and if it's going to need tweaking, as many young rookies do need that. So I think at that position of guard, that's where I think the Spurs need it the most, and it could be lacking. Who knows? Maybe Castle takes the leap. He was definitely working on that during the offseason. Hopefully it's going to pay off. We shall see. But that's a great question there. Thank you for that comment there, Jason. Now, another comment here before we let Rudy go. Let's see. All right. This is from Medina Man. I think that's how you say it. He says, one player away from becoming a powerhouse, ? How many stars do you need? Spurs fans want their organically drafted young team who they watch as they grow. Get it done. I'm going to punch out. Okay, so he makes a comment towards a comment made on the show. But nevertheless, what do you think about that? Do you think the Spurs are one player away from becoming a powerhouse, or they just need to grow into the powerhouse?
Oh, God, that's actually probably one of the better fan questions you've asked me. To be honest, they are one player away, not necessarily a superstar, but they're one player away from being on the likes of Denver and, the likes of Oklahoma City. again, we mentioned earlier guys like Austin Reeves. It could be a player like that. An Austin Reeves type player comes in, gets you that 16, 17 a game, can play defense, makes the key plays when you need him to make. Doesn't have to be the star of a team, just kind of wants to fill his role. You could go out and get another superstar in Giannis, but then if you add a superstar like Giannis, what does that do to the development to Victor? He's going to get the ball less in his hands. Giannis is the type of player that wants the ball in his hands, bring it up the court. What does that do to De'Aaron Fox? You got to be very careful on who you bring onto this team. As it sits right now, this team is vastly much more improved than it has been last year and previous years. They've made all the key moves already in the offseason. I'd say they're basically a semi all-star away from being a contender for years to come. Circle Austin Reeves, circle a player like that. That's what I've got him.
Yeah, I think this Spurs team is going to let them kind of grow this season together. And again, starting off on the wrong foot, with the injury to Fox. But once he gets back, I think they're going to let them grow, let them come together and see where they're at and reconvene towards the All-Star break / trade deadline if a deal needs to be done. Obviously, things are going to be in factor. How far away are they from being a legit playoff spot versus making the play-in? That can change things. But also, too, with a team like Milwaukee, and if they're going to lose a Giannis because he wants out, well, I think the Spurs willing to gut this roster because Milwaukee is going to want a lot in return. And draft picks are good, but there's something to say about a Castle, a Harper, Devin, Keldon. Are the Spurs willing to gut this roster? I don't see them chasing a megastar this season, but as far as an Austin Reeves, that's exactly the type of player that they can add to this team to help vault them into a legit playoff contender in the West. Thank you for the comments, everybody. We definitely appreciate it. Keep them coming. Still need your help. Technically, the regular season's not here. We're still in off-season mode, so keep those comments coming. We appreciate it. Hey, Rudy, talk to us about Sweep the League.
Yeah, so for Sweep the League, you can go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV. You can hit that subscribe button. The shows that they do, Plead the Sixth, also Grading the Market. They're going strong. And then also Sweep the League TV, kind of on the back burner a little bit, but we'll be coming to you with Sweep the League TV, myself and Coach Gio every now and then to kind of keep you guys updated on everything sports related. MLB World Series, playoffs are coming up, all that stuff. So all you got to do is just subscribe to Sweep the League TV on YouTube so you can get everything. And real quick, you Spurs fans out there, everybody's a contender in the NBA when you're 0-0. It's when the season starts when you realize how good is this team going to be. So keep that in mind. Don't get too excited just yet.
Rudy, thank you again for joining us here on Locked On Spurs. We appreciate you out of your schedule to join us as always, and greatly, greatly appreciated. But yeah, again, follow Rudy on X at Sweep the League. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever we get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kids5 Plus app, YouTube. Let us know what you think and keep on subscribing. Yeah, be that everydayer that we need you to be. We'll be back on Monday as the training camp preseason time is here. We'll get through it. Hopefully, we'll have a lot more to talk about as the regular season draws near. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. What we're going to do? Well, we're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.